Today, arguments unfolded in a New Orleans courtroom over a Texas law requiring public classrooms to display a copy of the Ten Commandments. This played out in front of the full Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Here to explain more about the background on this case and what's at stake is Jaden Edison. He is the public education reporter for the Texas Tribune. Jaden, welcome back to the show. Nice to see you.
Likewise, thanks for having me.
First, explain the case that's going in front of that full court today and why it involves not just Texas.
Yeah, so what we've seen really dating back to within the last year, I mean, this has been a storyline that's really been developing. It started in Louisiana, which became the first state to pass a Ten Commandments requirement, right? And second, in Texas, follows suit in the most recent legislative session. And so what we've seen to both those laws in each of respective states are challenges to the brought forth by families. And so obviously I can speak most to the Texas cases. We saw a coalition of roughly around 16 families or so, represented by civil rights organizations who basically sued the school districts for what they feel like is our coercive acts, excuse me, right? The fact that families feel that they should be in control of their children and their exposure to religion, and that the state imposing their preferred, religious principles on students represents an unconstitutional act. And so that's at the foundation of this case that we're seeing. And so this has been, like I said, it's been developing. We've seen two federal judges already come out and rule that the posting of the Ten Commandments, specifically as it relates to some of the districts that have been sued, is unconstitutional. And so there's been a partial block, though not in the entire state. And now what we've seen today is an appeal at the Fifth Circuit Court, as you mentioned, based in Louisiana, hearing basically the appeals to the case. And the court will certainly make a ruling. And this is one of the most conservative courts in the nation that, their decision will have obviously ripple effects, particularly in these states, but obviously other states who are thinking, of passing similar legislation.
Yeah, Jaden, as those arguments happened there in the courtroom today, what stood out most to you about the judges' responses, if any, from what the attorneys were laying out there on both sides?
Yeah, it was really interesting because I think people should probably understand, I think the basis of both arguments are pretty straightforward, right? When you think about the state, which is representing the 11 school districts, who were sued in this particular case, what the state is saying is that, and along with Louisiana's attorneys, right, what they're saying is that previous rulings as it relates to the Ten Commandments in public school classrooms did not take into account the historical significance of the Ten Commandments to public education or in public education, which is really interesting given that there is Supreme Court precedent, that has already ruled this very scenario unconstitutional. But nonetheless, what they're saying is that that ruling relied on an outdated test, right, that no longer is being used and was outlawed. And what the families are saying and what their attorneys are also pushing back and saying is that Supreme Court's previous ruling is still the law of the land, regardless of what test is being used. It's still what the Supreme Court ruled, and so therefore that is what states should continue to follow. And so certainly we've seen questions around that. You saw some skepticism maybe from some of the more conservative judges, regarding that 1980 ruling that they were referencing. And then you also saw again questions from some of the more progressive judges who were appointed by Democratic presidents, raising questions against the states on what are families supposed to do if they're in a situation where their families or their children are subjected to religious principles that they don't follow or abide by.
Okay, so we are not expecting a decision or any kind of announcement regarding that today from this particular court. So of course we're going to have to keep watching to see when that comes. But Jaden, game out for us. What could different outcomes mean from this court?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And, it's important to note that, I mean, this from day one, right? Even the contemplation of these laws, there was the expectation, whether it be in Louisiana or in Texas, that this would be an issue that will one day reach the United States Supreme Court. And so you almost have to think about it through that lens, is that this is kind of part of the game plan. I mean, Louisiana's governor, once came out and said, I can't wait to be sued, right? And it was for this very reason. And we heard similar remarks from Texas lawmakers. And so make no mistake about it, this is a long game, right? Understanding that it's not, something that's going to be, ruled in one favor or the other overnight. But ultimately, the goal is, at least from, some of the conservative lawmakers who push these laws, is to get this to a more friendly Supreme Court that we've seen has not shied away from overturning longstanding precedent. And so this is a huge step. We'll see, what happens, but ultimately, if whichever way the judges rule, you're almost certain to see an appeal to the United States Supreme Court, which obviously, we'll see if the Supreme Court decides to take up the case at some point in the coming years. But that's certainly the end game. And I think people on both sides, even judges, like we've heard judges in lower courts, make the same prediction that it will reach that level. And so now it seems like it's just a matter of when, not if.
Excellent points to make there. And of course, we'll have to pick up our conversation at another time. But that again is Jaden Edison with the Texas Tribune. You all can read his reporting about today's proceedings over on the Texas Tribune's website, so I'll send you that way. But Jaden, thanks again for joining us and for your reporting on this.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right.